What is going on, everybody? And welcome into a special episode of the Kelly Cast. As you can see, I'm still sicker than a dog, but that's not stopping me today. Ain't no stopping me now, Mitch. Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So today is April 2nd. It is WrestleMania 39 Day 2. Myself, my buddies are all excited to watch the festivities. And we decided now was the best time to do this. So without further ado, I want to introduce the Honorary Kelly, Mitchell Smith.
Wow, Honorary.
Honorary Kelly.
That's insane that you said honorary. I'm actually honored to hold that title, actually, folks. That is one prestigious award right there, if you do say so myself.
You're the first person on the show to not have the last name Kelly, but welcome, buddy.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Let's get this thing started. So my buddy here, Mitch, we were high school friends, and after graduation, we caught up with each other down the road, and the one thing that Mitch is good for, other than a nice handshake, is he knows his stuff about the NFL draft. Mitch, tell me when that started for you.
So it all started around for me about 2014. That's when I started really getting into it.
Okay.
So about 2014, 2015 is when I started really paying attention to
And what exactly were you paying attention to?
So I've paid attention more so about the players and the positions of what are the strengths and weaknesses of draft classes, and kind of individual players go into depth of which players are who and what are they, what are their play styles, and all that other
Now,
stuff.
Mitch, I'm on Twitter a lot, and I see a lot of takes from people, about drafts and about, certain players' potential. Is there any guy you can tell me that you had a high ceiling on that a lot of people didn't? You predicted somebody's success. Is there anybody out there that you can name for me like that?
Oh, I really can't at the moment.
Okay.
But, I mean, one name in particular, we're not talking about this year, right?
Nope, any year.
Any year? Ooh, okay. Trey Lance, coming out of North Dakota State. Everybody was doubting him, being he comes from a small school. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been played in an SEC competition or Big Ten or Pac-12 competition. But Trey Lance kind of defined that moment of, you don't have to be coming from these big schools to define who you are as a player. And I really like Trey Lance, and I believe that Trey Lance is rightfully so a top 10, top 5 pick in that draft class because of his play style, and he deserves to break the doubters. I mean, our boy Josh Allen, he kind of proved that with Wyoming. One college offer, Wyoming was the only offer.
Of course.
And top 10 picks. So, if Trey Lance and Josh Allen can do it, now I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to turn into Josh Allen.
Now that's the thing I was going to get into you with. You're bringing up Trey Lance like he's this, top guy, but you saw that the story that came out from San Francisco the other day, right? It was said, I believe, by John Lynch that if the season were to start tomorrow, Brock Purdy would get the start.
Yeah, see, that kind of disappoints me because, like I said, I was really high on Trey Lance.
Of course. It sucks because they spent such a high draft pick on him, but this league is about what you do for me now. It's not what you do for me 3 years from now. Ask Jordan Love. Jordan Love with the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, he was a first-round pick.
We know someone who actually really likes Jordan Love right now. So it could.
How about that situation with the Jets? Do you think it's crazy that this deal hasn't gotten done yet?
I think that this deal needs to get done yesterday. Because
and what is it? What does it take for the Jets to acquire Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career?
At this point, it's not even worth the 13th overall pick at this point because that's what I believe that was the key to in this whole trade, that Rodgers was gonna go for this 13th overall pick. Yeah, now you have 13 and 15. You could spend it on a safety or a tight end that you guys really desperately need or something like that. But at this rate, even a second-round pick would even just be worth the Packers' time.
I don't know what's going on. I'm very surprised it hasn't happened. I mentioned on the last episode of the Kelly Cast with Mike. We miss you, Mike. Hope you're having fun.
Love you, Mike.
We mentioned that, it would be the most Jets thing to do for them to not get Aaron Rodgers. After bending over backwards for them in every position they possibly can, to not get Aaron Rodgers. But without further ado, Mitch, let's get into this year's draft. So before we get into the mock draft today, we are going to bring picks 1 through 10 for you guys with, of course, my draft analyst, Mr. Mitchell Smith. I want you to tell the people what you think the deepest position in this class is for this year.
See, the defensive backs are one that really catches my eye, and I've been really looking into it, and there can be a corner or a safety that can go from the top of the first round to all the way down to the end of the third round. Like, that is how deep this year's draft class is with talent at that spot. See, now, there's not you can make an argument for another position like edge or linebacker or the defensive line in general being a deep team, being deep, but in my opinion, I think defensive backs are really deep in this year's draft.
Awesome. And who doesn't need a good corner, right? Obviously, the Bills last year took the guy on your jersey, Mr. Kyer Elam, in the first round. Mm-hmm. And then the weakest position you mentioned to me was the wide receivers. Now, who are the top wide receivers this year? How many are expected to go in round one?
So there's about three to four, depending on where you're picking in this year's draft.
Okay.
See, now there's 3 wide receivers, Quentin Johnson, Jordan Anderson, and I forgot the last guy, but I know he was a mid first rounder to like late second rounder.
Okay.
So I believe, but those are that's your number 1 and number 2.
Yep.
I believe hands down. And then you can make an argument for Zay Flowers, a Boston College native.
Is it Jackson Smith Njigba?
Yes, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Yes, that is the third corner I was thinking. Third wide receiver I was thinking about. And you can make an argument for 4. I mean, Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Okay. He can be a prototypical wide receiver in the first round.
Mitch, the only thing I think of when you mention like college names to me is Bills players. So the second you mention Boston College, I'm thinking Matt Milano. That's the first name that comes to mind.
Many people come out of Boston College. I mean, you think of Matt Ryan. He's one of the mentions.
Okay.
I mean, not really a typical name, but Chris Lindstrom.
Okay.
He's a Boston College guy.
He just got the bag from Atlanta.
Oh. What a
$105 million for an offensive guard.
Everyone's going to be setting the bar for the guard position.
We talked about that on the show. It's like I understand wanting to get paid as a young player in this league.
Yeah.
But good teams do not pay offensive guards $100 million contracts.
I mean, they're a dime in a dozen, honestly, in my opinion.
It just doesn't happen.
No.
So wide receiver was the weakest position in terms of after the second round for Mitch's thoughts, and defensive back and safety is the position where it is the deepest. Without further ado, Mitch, let's get into it. Pick number 1 belongs to the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
Now, everybody and their mother and their mother's mother and their mother's grandmother knows that the Panthers are going quarterback, Mitch.
Yes.
The question remains, which one? Now, how do you decide? Because when I was looking at both of these quarterbacks, they look very similar. They're both very accurate. They both play the same style of football, and they both win games. So tell me how you came to your decision and what guy you think is coming off the board here at number 1.
So with my decision, I have the Panthers going with C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State.
Okay.
See, now, what compares Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud? See, now, I saw Stroud and the national championship game, and he absolutely tore up Georgia defenses. And that Georgia defense is no joke. If you're a Georgia fan or a college football fan in general, Georgia defense is no joke. I mean, they produce so many great players throughout the years of Georgia.
Jordan Davis came out last year, to the Eagles.
Yep, Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of the Eagles.
He didn't play yet, right?
No, he did not. No, not Nakobe Dean, but not yet. This year, obviously, we'll get into the prospect in a little bit, but we have a couple of them coming out this year who are really talented. Even next year is really loaded with Georgia players.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. When you become a number 1 college, you kind of stay up there. But C.J. Stroud, number 1 to the Panthers. Mm-hmm. Tell me why, man.
See, like I said, it's a hard comparison between Bryce and C.J. The reason I have them going C.J. is because I think Young's height is going to be a disadvantage to him.
Okay.
I mean, yes.
How tall are you, Mitch?
I'm listed as 6 foot.
You're listed at 6 foot.
I'm listed as 6 foot.
Now, has that been a detriment to anything in your everyday life?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'm kind of the tallest in my family, actually.
Okay.
So, I mean, I have that going for me. But
I can relate. I'm the tallest in my family at 6'3". But being under 6 foot as a quarterback, I think definitely has its detriments. Yeah. It does. I mean, you look at Drew Brees, right? The reason I go Drew Brees and not Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray is Drew Brees is not a scrambler. Mm-mm. And he cannot see over that offensive line. You see him when he's playing, he's always got his chin up. So I worry about things like that. I worry about your longevity in the NFL if you're that small. Remember Marquise Goodwin?
Yeah.
Wide receiver drafted by the Buffalo Bills.
Speedy wide receiver, but
he was so small. He got hurt. He was fragile. So that's what you worry about. You also, we know that C.J. Stroud was scouted by the Carolina Panthers. They had 18 members of their staff at his pro day, which was last week. What did you see at his pro day?
I mean, I saw everything that obviously that he's been resumed to. I mean, he threw to Jackson Smith and Jigba, another prospect that one of his buddies. I mean, I saw Paris Johnson. I mean, another typical Ohio State guy. I mean, Ohio State's like with Georgia. I mean, always producing players after player after player. See, C.J. Stroud coming out of Ohio State. Yes, Ohio State is not really known for their quarterbacks. They're known for their more wide receivers and running backs and your offensive line and your defense.
Yep. Ohio State, historically bad with quarterbacks in the NFL.
Very bad.
There's only one I can remember, Mitch. Only one I can remember off the top of my head. You already know who it is. It's Cardale Jones.
It's Cardale Jones. And you're actually forgetting about one more. I mean, he hasn't built his resume yet, but I'm not gonna down bat him yet. Justin Fields.
Okay. Fields at Ohio State.
Fields at Ohio State. I mean, he did transfer. I believe he transferred from Oklahoma or something like that.
It still counts, but Fields has room to grow. I think he performed pretty well on a team that was really bad. He was a bright spot. He reminds me of Josh Allen in his rookie year only for the fact that he has no offensive line and no help.
Yeah.
Get him some help. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Ohio State, C.J. Stroud, Carolina Panthers, all this. Mm-hmm. The one thing you also got to remember is what the Carolina Panthers have done in the offseason. It's not like they've sat back and said, okay, we are prepared to pick at the top of the first round for the next couple of years. They were like, you know what? We're going to get some weapons. We're going to get some pieces. They grabbed Miles Sanders from the Eagles, who obviously made it all the way to the Super Bowl.
And they also have a great defense. Brian Burns, Derek Brown.
One of your draft crushes from a couple of years ago, Brian Burns.
Brian Burns. Oh, I loved him. I wish our team would have taken him. Yeah. I would have taken Brian Burns.
Would have been nice to get
Would have
been
nice, but we weren't in a position anyways.
Not at all. Carolina also picks up Thielen from Minnesota in free agency. They picked up another wide receiver from Jacksonville, DJ Chark.
DJ Chark,
another signing. So whoever
isn't that the most typical Panthers pick? I feel like that's a Panther pick. I feel like
DJ Chark.
I mean, you have DJ Moore, DJ Chark. I mean,
well, DJ Moore's gone.
Yeah, DJ Moore's gone. But
replace him with another DJ. I got you. DJ and CJ. They can have a little bit of a connection.
Yeah.
But whoever Carolina takes, I think is in a pretty good position, right? What competition do you have in the NFC South, if any?
You really, honestly, there's nothing. I mean, you want to put the Saints in that conversation?
It's got to be. It has to be. They have to be the
you can't
front runners with Derek Carr.
You can't put Tampa Bay in that conversation anymore.
Not at all.
Because
we don't know who the quarterback is. Is it Kyle Trask? We'll see.
I mean,
from Carolina, who I don't expect to have many early first round picks after this, if they have success with this pick, into a team
good luck
like the Houston Texans, who I think are a legitimate dumpster fire.
Really?
They're just not in a position to win football games.
Really?
They trade away Brandon Cooks. They just don't have weapons. They don't have weapons. They signed Devin Singletary, Mitch.
Okay. So with Houston, honestly, yes, they are the laughingstock right now. I think, in my opinion. I mean, yes, you could make an argument for that trade for the first overall pick.
Yeah.
For the Panthers. I mean, you gave up a lot. You went from 9 to 1.
Yeah, you got to figure Carolina knew what Houston wanted.
Which, adding DJ Moore to that trade, which I have to voice my opinion about this.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, I feel like the 2 first-round picks would have gotten done. 2 first-round picks and another like mid another mid-round pick would have gotten done. Like, yes.
Maybe the reason that didn't happen is that's 2 NFC teams.
That is true.
Remember, like with trades, you don't want to help anybody succeed off of you.
It is the NFC North too. So that's also another division that's up in the air. You got to think about that too.
Yeah.
I mean, with the whole Rodgers situation, like you put the Lions at the top right now.
I don't know.
I know.
I think it's Minnesota at the top.
That's true. We can't count them out.
Minnesota is a regular season team to me. At number 2, Mitch, we have the Houston Texans. Now, again, I think we're expecting quarterback here. Davis Mills was given his shot, hasn't really done much with it. They haven't surrounded him with weapons. They just traded away Brandon Cooks. This is a team that I don't expect to be very good.
No, absolutely not.
So, where do you have them going in this mock draft today?
So I have them going Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback.
Okay. Bryce Young at number 2. It's got to be something to do with the size, right?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely has to do with something with the size, and I feel like he makes that up with his talent. I mean, I'm not dissing Bryce Young at all.
Yeah, we aren't NFL players.
No.
We never will be. Everybody in the NFL is more talented than us. This is just an opinion-based show at the end of the day.
And yeah, I mean, I don't like Alabama as a college. Don't get me wrong. I hate Alabama. Worst team I think I've ever watched ever. But
in terms of what? In terms of, hey, they're too good and I don't want to watch them play. In terms of,
I think it's Nick Saban. Honestly, I don't really like Nick Saban.
Okay.
Nick Saban as a coach. Oh my God, I can't stand him.
Bryce Young at 5'10" still weighs in at 204 pounds. He's not this small guy that's going to get bullied in the NFL.
No.
And he's also not a scrambler, Mitch, which plays well to his longevity factor in the league.
And
tell me why. Other than him being 5'10", why doesn't he go number 1 to the Carolina Panthers? Why is he there at 2?
See, the reason why he's at 2, and I think, like I said at pick 1, I think that the Panthers value CJ Stroud a little bit more than Bryce Young. Now, that's not to say now we could see something on draft night that we didn't see on TV or on social media. CJ Stroud could fumble the bag in the interviews. Like, we don't know. But I feel like that Young has always been a Houston Texan from the very beginning of the season.
Okay.
Like, Young, in my opinion, he's talented. He can stay in that pocket. He can make the tough throws.
Yep.
And I'm not saying he's not a tough quarterback. He is one tough quarterback. I mean, going up against SEC competition is no joke, people. Like, that is one of the toughest conferences in college football. So, to being that small, he makes up for it for his talent.
Yep.
And I believe that Houston's going to get a franchise quarterback. Yes, they need more weapons. They need a lot of things, but get your quarterback at 2.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Mitch. If the roles were reversed here and the Houston Texans had the number 1 pick, do you think they would still go Bryce Young over CJ Stroud?
Yes, in my opinion,
okay.
I think.
Okay. So it has nothing to do with the pick. It has to do more with the team, is what you're telling me.
With the team. Right. And like I said, Stroud could maybe fit Frank Wright's system better than Young, or vice versa.
And that's what matters most. That's what people forget in terms of these drafts, Mitch. It could be the make or break for your career.
Oh, yeah.
Finding the right fit in the NFL. If you're a linebacker and you go to a team that doesn't know how to use you, hey, have fun with your 4-year career. But if you were drafted to the right spot, you could become a future Hall of Famer, right? It's insane how much that plays into it. And I don't think people realize it.
Oh.
But into pick 3, Mitch, I didn't think the Cardinals were that bad last year. You're telling me they're picking number 3 overall in this year's draft?
Yeah, I was very shocked when Call of Duty Boy decided not to really show out.
Kyler Murray, for anybody who's not on social media, Call of Duty Boy is Kyler Murray.
He's probably playing COD as we speak right now, but who knows? I feel like they shot themselves in the foot a little bit.
How so?
It's just with the whole D-Hop situation, you got to remember, he was suspended.
Yep.
He was suspended for 7 games?
Six games for a PED suspension, and now apparently he wants out. If he wants out, what does that do for you then? I mean, that just makes you worse. They got a new head coach, picking at 3 here. Where do you see them going?
See, now that you mention it, new head coach, defensive-minded, so I see them going Will Anderson Jr., defensive end.
Okay.
Alabama.
So he's listed as a linebacker on my computer here in college. Mm-hmm. You're telling me you think he's going to move to defensive end at 253. He's going to have to put on some weight to not be thrown around by these offensive tackles.
Yeah.
Arizona, I think, needs this draft pick here.
Yeah.
Because you think about this, edge help, J.J. Watt, retiring. they need help on defense. That's really what has held the Arizona Cardinals back from competing the last couple of years.
You also forget that Chandler Jones' contract is not the greatest.
Chandler Jones is still in the league? That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he was on the Arizona Cardinals. I forgot.
Last year?
I forgot. Never mind.
He's on the Raiders, right?
He's on the Raiders now. Sorry.
Yeah. The stiff arm on Mac Jones.
Yeah. Stiff arm on Mac Jones.
How could you forget? One of the greatest plays of last year.
Yes,
so, Arizona, we have taking the first defensive player, Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that the Cardinals could be looking at here that you think is possible at number 3?
Not necessarily. I mean, I feel like that Will Anderson's the best player in the draft.
Okay. What if Will Anderson goes at 2?
Then we have a dilemma on our hands. We have a definitely.
What happens if the Arizona Cardinals don't have access to Will Anderson? Who do they go? Is it still defense?
It's still defense, no matter
still
what.
Defense?
Still
okay.
defense. Yeah, I think so.
Really interesting. So moving on here to pick 4 with the Indianapolis Colts, who was looking for a quarterback in this year's free agency. It does not seem like they have found one yet.
Not yet.
So is that where they're looking here in this year's draft? That's what I would think.
Yes.
As a guy who has not studied the draft, as a guy who just watches football, watching the Indianapolis Colts last year, I think, okay, these guys are going quarterback.
Yeah. And that trend will finally end with the Colts fans finally getting what they want in a quarterback in Anthony Richardson.
Now, Anthony Richardson, is he 72 years old? Because that's what the Colts like in quarterbacks.
No, he's 22, 21, somewhere around there.
Okay. Tell me about him.
So he's a sophomore. So I believe he's one of few very sophomores coming out of this year's draft.
Okay.
So this is the combine freak that everyone was talking about.
6'4", 244 pounds for Anthony
Tested
Richardson.
phenomenal at the combine.
Okay.
I watched the combine. Now I didn't have a chance to watch the quarterbacks.
Did he run the 40-yard dash?
I believe he did.
Okay.
But I don't remember the time. Actually,
that's fine.
Yeah, he did. I don't remember his time. I think it was like
it was something crazy.
It was 4.3 something. I don't remember, but it was fast. But that's him. Mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
We've seen mobile quarterbacks in this league all the time.
That's what his game is. Obviously, we'd like for you to protect yourself,
And the arm talent's there, though, too. People forget. I mean, he could be a dual threat. He needs to be coached on it, in my opinion.
What a great situation to go to if you want to get coached.
I mean, and Colts fans really wanted to trade up. Like, they acted like they needed to trade up.
Yeah.
They don't. Sit at 4. Don't trade away your draft capital. You have a lot of draft capital.
Well, you figure, if you look at the top 4 teams picking in this year's draft, the first 3 are not all going quarterback.
No.
Arizona will not take a quarterback in this year's draft. Kyler Murray's contract is too massive. So at the worst, you're getting the 3rd best quarterback. If you got a first-round grade on him, you might as well take him, right?
I mean, yeah. And if you're that desperate, if you're worried about someone jumping up 2-3 to get your quarterback or get a quarterback, then trade with the Cardinals. I mean, 1 pick, it's not going to cost you that much. Maybe a pick.
Tell that to the Chicago Bears when they traded up for Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, we'll get to them.
Tell that to the Chicago Bears, though. It can cost you a lot to move up 1 pick.
Yeah.
So, Indianapolis, you have going quarterback. That's now 3 quarterbacks in the top 5. Pick 5 belongs to the Seattle Seahawks, Mitch. And if any team is going to trade out of the top 10 here, I think it's going to be Seattle.
Yeah.
Because you look at what they did last year. I had them picking in the top 10 in this year's
with
draft.
With their own pick.
Correct. With their own pick, because I thought they were just going to be a bad football team. Turns out Geno Smith has a career resurgence. Seattle makes the playoffs. Obviously, disappointing exit against the San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, very disappointing.
But that team performed so much better on the field than what it looked like on paper.
Yeah.
So having the number 5 pick here is humongous for a team like Seattle, a young team. Obviously, they're going to have to need a quarterback soon.
Oh, yeah, soon.
But you don't have to do that here. No. Here, you get a piece or you move back. If the Seattle Seahawks stay at 5, where do you think they go?
Now, this is the second best player, in my opinion, in the draft.
Okay.
I believe that is defensive tackle Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, 6'3", 314. You're telling me D-tackle.
D-tackle, yes. Okay. He's listed as a D-tackle. I seen him play at Georgia.
All right.
I watched the national championship. Didn't really have that much of an impact in the national championship.
Okay.
But I've seen his tape. He is one of very few defensive tackles I've seen that are kind of freaks in this year's draft.
Okay.
I mean, he has the height, he has the weight, he has the speed, I think, in my opinion. I mean, he could rush the passer, but I think his game is more so a run stopper than the
He's
pass
a run
rush.
stopper.
I feel
Is he a gap filler? Is he like, hey, you got to double team him and it leaves opportunities for the guys on the edge?
So he can't. I don't think he's going to be a nose, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think he's going to be more so that stopping gap guy.
Gotcha.
So he's going to be more your typical defensive tackle than your nose tackle,
Okay.
I think, in my opinion.
Okay, makes sense. Now, he's had some legal issues.
Yes.
Jalen Carter has had some legal issues that I've seen.
And
that does not knock him down. Like,
no.
You really think he's still going to go top 10 in this year's draft?
You have to look at all the scenarios too on that too. Nothing has come out with him yet. I mean, by next week or by the next 2 weeks before the draft, you could see something come out with him saying that he was responsible or something happened in between there, and he could fall out of the top 5. I don't see him getting past top 15 though. Okay. But he's a talented player. People, I mean, yes, teams will have to discipline, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's not like, okay, yeah, you're a top 5 pick or a top 15 talent.
Hey, as long as he's not being trained by like Vontez Burfict or some kind of dirty player on the side, I think we'll be okay.
I think the teams need to look at the player, not the way obviously he acted. Obviously, like I said, teams need to be disciplined.
And hey, Mitch, let's talk, business here in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care what you do off the field.
No.
It really doesn't matter. Jerry Hughes in Buffalo crashed a car against a tree, and guess what? He got a fine.
Yeah.
But he was playing the next week.
So
I mean, it happens.
I mean, Seattle's going to get a good player no matter what at 5, but Jalen Carter, go ahead and take him.
It's the perfect place to move down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the perfect place to move down. You sit at number 5. You're telling me, Mitch, is there another quarterback that's going to go in the first round? Or is there multiple quarterbacks that are still going to go in the first round here?
There's only one, but...
There's only one. Okay. If you're telling me there's at least one more quarterback in the first round, if you're Seattle, guess what you do? You say, give me your first round pick next year. You want your quarterback, come and get it. And then Seattle goes into the quarterback market next year.
Yeah.
Very simply. Like, that's the easy way to put it.
I mean, yeah.
You and me played a lot of Madden back in the day. I know you were on franchise making those trades.
Yeah.
We got the controller right here. It's pretty easy to press the buttons.
Yeah.
Come on, teams. Make the moves that you need to make. They seem like it's so much harder than what they make it seem.
You want me to give you the team?
Who is it?
I believe it's going to be the Commanders, if anything.
Washington Commanders.
16 to 5.
Okay.
It's going to cost you, but
you know what?
I can see it.
The Washington Commanders have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL.
You think?
And they have one of the worst quarterbacks.
Really? You think the best wide receiver room?
One of the best wide receiver rooms in the league.
Who? Curtis Samuel and
Terry McLaurin.
Scary Terry?
On top of the rookie they drafted last year. I'm forgetting his name.
Dobson.
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
Yes.
Yeah, Dotson. Yeah, Penn State native.
It is an insane wide receiver room. They are so talented. They catch every ball. If they had a quarterback, the Washington Commanders would be a legit threat in the NFC.
Defense too. Their defense is amazing.
It's amazing. It's amazing. The Commanders are basically the Alabama Crimson Tide on defense. That's exactly what they are.
Calling the Washington Crimson Tide, basically.
They have so many players from Alabama, and it shows that it works out. But we're moving on to pick 6 here, Mitch, which belongs to the Detroit Lions. Now, I think in Buffalo, we all have a soft spot for Detroit. Ralph Wilson,
absolutely,
creating the Buffalo Bills, also co-founding the Detroit Lions. So, I think we root for them a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And last year was a good year for Detroit.
Yeah.
They had a running back go for 17 touchdowns, almost make the playoffs, but, fall just short. Here they're picking at 6. I don't expect them to be as good as they were last year, Mitch, just because it's Jared Goff. I don't see enough improvements to see where I can see Detroit going to the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah.
But they pick 6 here. Where do you have them going?
Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon.
All right. Christian Gonzalez. Tell me about him.
So this is your Sauce Gardner of the draft, people.
Really?
Now, is he going to be as talented?
Does he talk? Is he a big talker?
No, actually not. He plays with his game. Christian Gonzalez is probably the most cleanest player, I think, in this year's draft.
In terms of, he doesn't get a lot of penalties?
That, and he's kind of more of your, you see him play, he's very smooth. Yeah. He does, like I said, and he doesn't take a lot of penalties. Now,
is he man-to-man or is he a zone corner?
He's kind of more of that press guy, so he's more man-to-man.
Okay, man-to-man coverage.
But if you see the way he works and his footwork, absolutely, I think at the elite level. Okay. He'll be able to cover your number 1 wide receiver. hands down, I think, in my opinion.
If he goes to Detroit, I mean, he's worried about Christian Watson, right, for Green Bay, DJ Moore for Chicago, and then that's Minnesota. Do you think he can keep up with Justin Jefferson?
In my opinion, I think he can. If you look at Alexander from the Packers.
Yep, Jair Alexander.
I mean, he's established himself as a top, what do you say, top 5 corner?
I'd probably put him a little higher, but
you're top 3?
Yeah, Alexander's top 3 for me.
This year, you're talking about like this year, not like overall.
Oh no, I'm talking overall. Last year, probably top 5. I mean, he had an off year.
The thing is with Justin Jefferson, yes, he did have a phenomenal year. I'm not dissing him whatsoever, and he does have a little bit of soft spot for me because obviously our wide receiver won from them.
He runs a lot of routes. Justin Jefferson is really good. I don't think you can come out and say, hey, he's going to cover Justin Jefferson. That's like when Sauce came out and said he was going to cover Stephon Diggs. We saw what happened. I mean, some plays you're going to win. It's going to happen. All these guys in the NFL are talented. That's what we want to tell you.
Yeah.
But it comes down to who can make the big play. And can Christian Gonzalez make the big play?
Yeah, and I think he can. See, the whole thing is with Christian Gonzalez is that he doesn't have to cover Justin Jefferson. I believe, in my opinion, they have the talent at their cornerback position. It could not be the best right now, but adding him will just give you a number 1 corner. Every team needs one. You can't say no to that. So, does he have to cover Justin Jefferson? No.
If he's the number 1 corner on his team, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes, he does. But I'm saying that if it comes down to it, and if he's struggling a little bit, you might not put him on Justin Jefferson year 1.
Okay. Then guess what? If you put somebody else on Justin Jefferson that's not your number 1 corner,
pretty much,
he's gonna get cooked.
He might.
He's gonna get cooked. So I just don't know. If this is the place you're telling me, cornerback safety is the deepest position here in this class. You think the first corner comes off the board at 6 to Detroit?
Yes, they could go a different route. Like I said, they could help out Aiden Hutchinson
on the defensive line.
On the defensive line, yes.
With who would you look at if they were looking at defensive line help?
Tyree Wilson, Texas Tech native.
Gotcha.
So I mean, Detroit, you hold your own keys. So.
And Detroit's also, got some stuff going on offense. Jamison Williams, they got a good young wide receiver core, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They traded their tight end away. Is there any offensive lineman could be in the conversation here for Detroit?
No, I don't see one going this high, honestly.
Okay. So we're moving on here into pick 7 with the Las Vegas Raiders. I still want to call them Oakland. Mitch. I miss the days of the Oakland Raiders.
You miss the Oakland days of the
St. Louis
the Coliseum?
Yeah, all those days.
Yeah.
So the Raiders, I don't know if you want to look at last year as a disappointment. It's kind of what I expected from the Raiders.
Really?
Derek Carr, breakup, very ugly situation.
That wasn't a good situation.
Props to Derek Carr for handling it the way he did. He's shown nothing but class in the way he's handled it. And the Raiders go out and get his replacement, right? Yeah. Jimmy G. Garoppolo. He's not going to do much better than what Derek Carr did.
Oh, no.
He's just not.
No.
He has some better numbers.
Yeah.
He had a better team behind him. He had a really good defense, San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
So we have the Raiders here at pick 7. We staying on the defensive side of the ball, Mitch?
We are still staying on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
And it's just the guy I just mentioned, Tyree Wilson, edge, coming out of Texas Tech.
All right.
See, now, the thing is with Tyree Wilson is that, yes, you could put him at edge if you're listing him at edge as your number 1 edge.
He's 6'6", 271. To me, that's an edge.
That is an edge, yes. Yep. So you're looking at Tyree Wilson as your edge. You're looking at him as a probably fast edge.
Yep.
With, like I said, with the height, he has the weight, and he definitely has the athleticism to play edge.
Pick 8 belongs to the Atlanta Falcons. Now, you had a tough time. Mm-hmm. You had a tough time coming up with a pick for the Atlanta Falcons, and it's probably because there's so many needs on that team that you cannot think of somebody. But you did come up with somebody on the defensive side of the ball, and who was it?
So now this is the guy that can actually sneak into the top 10, and I think it is defensive tackle Brian Brzee out of Clemson.
Yep.
See, now everybody can list Brian Brzee as the number 2 defensive tackle, which in my opinion he is compared to Jalen Carter.
All right, Brian Brzee, second D tackle. Okay.
Second D tackle in my opinion. It's a matter of like I said, the people have him graded all differently. I see him go from even top of the end of the first round to even top of day 2.
Okay.
Which obviously, yes, that is a major drop, but you look at Atlanta, like I said, it was hard to do them because they have so many needs. They're not going to go offense here because obviously, yes, they have Ritter, which you don't know a question about because
they traded Ridley away.
They did trade Ridley away, yes, because of gambling.
Who's the running back?
Cordell Patterson. He was the running back.
31 years old, Cordero Patterson.
Still no running. Like I said, still no running back.
Okay.
Not worth the pick. Wide receiver, not worth the pick here.
Okay.
Offensive line, you can make an argument for.
They just paid an offensive lineman.
Yeah, and they just played Lindstrom. Yep, they just played Christopher Lindstrom.
So Brian Bursey to the Atlanta Falcons.
I mean,
pick 8.
Next to Grady Jarrett.
Now let me ask you this: a D tackle is not a sexy pick.
No,
it's not. It's the same as an offensive lineman pick. An edge pick is a sexy pick.
Yes.
An offensive lineman, not.
No.
So D tackle here, you go Brian Bursey. I would tell you. The Bills took a defensive tackle not too long ago in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Ed Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a sexy pick.
No.
And it really has not worked out.
No.
Like with Oliver, he's just not a consistent player in terms of his production on the field. And I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's a Buffalo Bill.
And he was my pick at 9.
But the reason I bring this up to you is, do you think that at pick 8 you're getting what you want out of a defensive tackle?
If you're going to be drafting a defensive tackle at that pick, I feel like that you know what you're getting out of it.
At number 9, Mitch, we have the Chicago Bears. Obviously, they had the number 1 pick, moved in that trade with Carolina, who I think they just made out so well with the picks that they received. Tell me where you have the Bears going in this year's draft, and please tell me it's some help for Justin Fields.
It is help for Justin Fields.
Okay. And is it a wide receiver?
No.
Is there a wide receiver that could go at number 9 here?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Like I said, not at this moment.
Okay.
I have the Bears going offensive tackle / guard. We'll get into that into a minute. Peter Skoronski.
Out of Northwestern, 6'4", 313 for Skoronski.
Yes. So the reason why I say tackle / guard, people view him as a tackle. Some people view him as a guard. He can flex inside to guard. Has
he played guard in college?
Yes.
He has.
He has for a little while, I believe.
Okay.
Like first 2 seasons, I believe.
Okay.
And then he switched over to tackle in his junior year, if I'm not mistaken.
Gotcha. Okay, so Skoronski gives you some
flexibility. See, now the reason why I have him moving into guard, I think, in my opinion, in this league of his, people call it short arms. See, now with short arms, T-Rex arms, like that. So the reason why I believe the Bears are going to go Skoronski is because of that flexibility. Now you have Elton Jenkins, who used to play guard.
Okay.
They can always flex him back into guard and put Skoronski.
Jenkins play center too?
Yeah, something like that. But you're going to be drafting another offensive lineman here because you need to invest in Justin Fields. You clearly did that with trading down.
Yeah, right. I mean, they really showed by trading number 1 away. They told Justin Fields, we still believe in you. And that's important. That's important for a young quarterback to know that his team still backs him.
I believe in him. I think that he's going to be an okay QB in this league.
Yeah.
I mean, he can throw. We obviously know he can run.
I'm sure Kevin believes in him too.
Because big Bears fan.
Kevin's a humongous Bears fan.
He loves the Bears.
He likes to bear down.
Yeah, as we like to call it.
Of course. At number 10, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Mitch, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl. How the hell are they picking at number 10? Pick 10 here. Philadelphia Eagles can really go anywhere, Mitch. We mentioned you don't have a lot of offense in this top 10.
Not at all.
Eagles going defense too. Where are you looking?
So, like I said, I think, in my opinion, I've been saying it all year with them. Like I said, props to them for making the Super Bowl. Obviously, coming close.
Hell of a year for the Philadelphia Eagles.
You can't take nothing away from the Philadelphia Eagles. But
you mentioned they have a very old roster, the oldest in the NFL, in fact. So getting younger is really important for them. Where are you looking for them to fill a hole in this year's draft?
Well, in my opinion, I think at the end of the day, you got to get younger at the position. You have to go cornerback, Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois.
All right. Devin Witherspoon, 6 foot, 181, coming out. He is a junior here in college.
Correct.
You have him coming all the way up to pick 10. Tell me what intangibles he has that makes him a top 10 pick in this year's draft.
See, now the talent is there at 10 with him. See, now this is where after 10, I feel like that's when you're going to start seeing all these mix-ups in defense and offense.
Okay.
So now Witherspoon's the last pick that, in my opinion, is obviously worth the top 10 pick.
Okay.
Now I could be wrong, and someone else can sneak into that top 10.
Yep.
But I see Witherspoon as, like I said, the number 2 corner.
Now, you mentioned teams in the range from 1 to 15 draft for need or draft best player available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a situation where this is best player available? Because the Eagles should not be in this position.
No.
They should not have this pick. The reason they have this pick is because their front office is really smart and made some smart business decisions. So do you think this is a position where, hey, Devin Witherspoon's the best guy on the board and that's why we're taking him? Or is there another player that you can say, hey, he's the best player on the board right now and the Eagles might look to him?
Yes, and now this is where I'm going to mix up to everybody listening and everybody watching. I feel like that Bijan Robinson is going to be the wild card pick here.
Wow.
Bijan,
the running back.
Yes.
The running back that the Bills fans want.
Yes. Now I'm going to tone it down for the Bills fans listening and watching. Bijan is that type of running back.
Okay.
He is that bell cow. He is that guy. He can do it all in Texas. Now, obviously, can you see him being that guy at 10? Yes. Eagles fans are going to rejoice when they see him. When they watch film on him, he's explosive.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This is a running back you have going up at 10.
Yes.
Running backs don't go that high anymore. Do you think this is another situation where Philadelphia can say, hey, Bijan's going to be there in 5, 8 picks. Let's trade down again, get some more assets, and then do this? Because if they don't take the corner that you mocked them here, maybe that's the situation. Is like, hey, let's move. Maybe it's Tennessee for a quarterback.
That's a wild card team right there. Yeah, I can see it. See, now, like I said, Bijan is a top 5 player in this draft.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
Why doesn't he go that high? Is it that he's a running back?
I think he's a running back. He's a running back. I mean, you can't look at the top 5 teams and say they're going to draft a running back. There's no way. I mean, it would shock the world and shock me if Bijan goes top 5.
Pick one. The Carolina Panthers select Bijan Robinson.
I mean, it's Frank Reich, so we never know.
But before we go, Mitch, I need your draft crush. The guy that you are looking at as a guy who's being overlooked by other analysts and draft experts. Mitch is not a draft expert. He's a guy who knows his stuff, and I will give him credit for that. I cannot call you an expert. I'm sorry.
That's all right. So the draft crush that I've been so hyped on is linebacker Jake Campbell out of Iowa. He recently actually just became the draft crush for me.
What did you see from him?
Everything that I see in a typical modern day linebacker.
Sideline to sideline speed.
Now, okay, so he doesn't have that sideline to sideline speed that everybody likes, but he does have that sideline to sideline range.
Okay.
He is your typical go up and get it linebacker. I mean, yes, you can take Matt Milano, for example.
Okay.
I mean, he's that go up and get up linebacker for us.
Yeah.
That's like the first name that came to my mind.
Okay.
But you're looking at Jake Campbell. Jake Campbell's your old style middle linebacker that can
like Urlacher.
You can not really compare him to Urlacher, but yeah.
Is he that kind of guy? Like, is he like a hard hitting, coming down to the trenches, run stopper?
See, you can look at Jake Campbell's tape and say some of those plays in Iowa, yes, you can, but also you can also see he can make up the speed for your coverage, and he can make up the speed for
decent in coverage.
Yeah, be decent in coverage. I mean, like I said, he's an all-around linebacker, and he's my number 1 linebacker in this draft, just because, like I said, he's that typical he's that typical prototypical linebacker that I think every team wants and needs.
Okay.
In my
And he
opinion.
has the size. You mentioned he has the range. That's your guy, Jake Campbell. We'll have to see where he goes in your mock draft here.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Everybody, once again, this has been the Kelly Cast. I'm Dan Kelly. That's Mitchell Kelly. And we want to thank you for all your time, and we'll see you next time.